I think this might be my favourite terrain I've used in a game of Rogue Warriors. It's got everything I look for a perfect balance of immersion and tactical gameplay. I'm Lee, and in this video I'll be taking you through this set of awesome terrain by Micro Art Studios. I'll show you how to assemble it, the best way to glue it together, and once we've built one of the houses we can have a real good look at some layouts and how miniatures look alongside it all. Okay, let's get right into it. Here we go. We've got a World War II Normandy large brick shed and the Normandy cafe. And these are by Micro Art Studios. A massive thanks to them for sending this whole set out for me to review on the channel and share with you. It's going to feature a lot in Rogue Warriors. So I've spent the last few evenings building it and getting it ready for battle. So I thought I'd save these two sets just to show you how to put it together. So this is one of the smaller ones. On the back, you're going to get all the instructions. This tells you how to assemble it, the glues to use, things like that. So you've got all the information you need there. And then on the other sheet, you get a nice image of the internal and external structure, and then some nice simple and clear instructions for how to build it on the other side. We've got 3 sheets of this HDF, and this is going to be printed on one side in this case. When we build the cafe, you'll see that sometimes this wood is printed on both sides. The printing's excellent, really crisp and clear. It's all painted for you already, so you're not going to have to paint any of these miniatures. Once they're built, they're good to play immediately, which I think is a huge bonus and why I love this terrain so much. I've got a little file here that I use, and I make sure that I file every single one of these little raised bits that come when you pop the pieces out of the wood. And very easy, these pieces come out so nicely and quick. I think on about 3 occasions for the whole set I had to run a little scalpel knife down there just to get it out, but otherwise every single bit comes out really easily just by pushing it out. So what I like to do is lay it all out on my table, and then I'll go through and start looking at the different sections and getting organised ready to build it. I'll do the filing all in one go. For this case, it's quite a small model, and then I'll just get rid of these bits to one side. But handy if you like building your own miniatures and kit bashing things. I think you could get a lot of use out of these sprues. The recommendation is PVA glue, but I really like this Gorilla wood glue. I think it's a solid glue. It says on the bottle that it's stronger than actual wood once it sets and cures, so I like to use this for these kind of kits, and it really does make them solid when they're put together. Now we've got our glue, we've filed all the parts down, it's time to work through those instructions, and I like to lay it out like this so I know exactly where each piece is going. Good to do a little test fit first, just so you know exactly how it goes together. And in this case, we're going to be putting 2 pieces over each other like that. It's going to make the walls really thick and sturdy. This adds a lot of integrity to the structure, which I think is an awesome design, and it really does fit perfectly. I've done a few of these kind of kits, and I can definitely say this is the one with the most precision out of the different companies I've used so far. Now with the glue, I just use it straight out of the bottle, but you could use a little coffee stirrer if you want to apply it perfectly. But I find when it dries, you don't see any of the mess that it leaves behind. So I just go out of the bottle, I'm hardly putting any on, so I'm being very careful. And then when you squidge it down in place, you'll see that you get a little bead of glue running along. You could run your finger along that or a little damp cloth. I just leave it in most cases. Around the edges I'll clean it up a bit, but on the internal parts, that's going to dry and it's just going to disappear. You're not even going to know it was there. There we go, just continuing now, putting all the different pieces on, and then it gets stronger and stronger the more we add. Because we're fixing this to a base, it's got a lot of integrity there. Sometimes you're going to have to do some of these squares, as you'll see with a cafe in a moment, you're going to have to do that without a base, and that's where this gridded little cutting mat comes in really handy. There we are, I'm just cleaning up around the edges, and then on these pieces that we're going to stick on the outside, I'm putting quite a lot of glue and just spreading it around, just using the nozzle of the glue container. Again, you could use a coffee stick if you wanted to apply it a little bit neater than I am here. And then pushing that together nice and strong. And with these double thick walls, this is solid. I mean, that glue's not even set yet, and it's really holding together nicely. I really do like how they thought about having the 2 different thicknesses, or the 2 different pieces for the thickness of the walls. Just adding them together really does make this strong, and I think this is going to be the sort of terrain that you can just take on and off the shelf, and it's not going to get damaged, it's not going to have little bits coming off it. That's a real solid piece. That's the main part done. You can see we've covered both of those sections of the instructions. We've got the little doors to do as well. Sometimes you're going to get doors that you can glue together back to front like we did with the walls, so you've got printing on both sides. In this case though, it's only going to be printed on one part, so you might want to add a little bit of paint maybe on the other side of the door, so when you've got these open you're going to have some colour. But that's not always the case with these models. You'll see from the different buildings later on when I go through them all in detail that some of the doors are double up and are coloured. For this little fiddly bits, I use a little stick there just to tidy up a little bit. Moving on to the roof, you can see we've got a little bit of a different colour there, so I'm going to check the image just to make sure I position this properly, and there you can see it's really well detailed, nice and crisp, and you can have a good idea of exactly where you're going to be putting this roof. So I'll match it up, get it lined up in place, and we're good to go, and then I'll flip it over, and now we've got these pieces here, and I decided to glue the printed section so it points outward, just so when I take it off it looks like it is painted. But I think on reflection I probably should have done it the other way around, so when you look inside the building with the roof on you'll see the painted side. Right, now we've got this little storage box that's going to be built, and it's the same process. I'm just using it straight out the bottle. These are some of the smallest pieces you're going to be sticking together, so yeah, I'm not worrying about putting the glue in a little pot and using any kind of applicator, just straight out the bottle. And there it is, that's all done now. I'm going to let that set. This Gorilla Glue is really quick to set, 30 minutes, it's going to hold everything in place really well, and then just leave it overnight, and then the next day you'll have a solid building good to go. A couple of pieces left over here with the brickwork on those doors, and so I'll just use those maybe for some kit bashing later on. I built up another of these little sheds, and so I can give you a good look of it now assembled and in use, and you can see here the little box is really well put together. I glued that shut, I can't imagine putting anything in that. And then I've got some doors, the little back door there, and then you've got these ones as well. So in this case, you could probably glue those other spare doors to the back of that, and I think it would still work, it would still close, but I'm just going to add some paint so they're not too thick when they're open. Alright, now on to the Normandy Cafe. I love this little building. I've been really looking forward to getting this put together, and it's just fantastic. It looks awesome when it's on the table, as you'll see later on with the rest of the different buildings. And I'll be going through each one in detail so you can have a good look at how they come apart, the interiors and everything. But here we've got some different parts that we didn't have on that shed. We've got some windows and some signs and the little shutters, and also some little funny shaped pieces that we'll be using for the roof. On one of the sets I thought the printing had been messed up and it was too pale, but then I realised you just peel the paper off and you're good to go. So there we go, we've got a couple of signs that we'll look at later on, lots of other parts too. You get the windows here that you're going to put in, so like to represent the glass panes. And here you can see we've got double printing now, so on some of these you're going to get printing on both sides of the wood. We've got our bases, and then we've got some wall section. And look at this, this is awesome. You can see the different wallpaper effects they've gone with. Really well detailed, super crisp. I haven't found any errors in all the kits I've built so far, which I think is incredible. And this is just great. You really do get what you pay for. Fantastic quality. And again, I've laid it all out on my board. Now this is going to be a bit more complex than that smaller structure. So what I like to do is just try and put together the different sections that I'll be following on the instructions. So that's going to be the roof there. We've got the floor of the roof. We've got some building walls. So I'll put those together and just kind of give myself a bit more space and just getting organised. And then I'll work through and I'll file away at each section, or I'll go through the whole lot. Depends how big the model is really. One thing that's really awesome with these models is you do the base that looks like a ruin, so you can get a lot out of these kits. Okay, this is going to be the front, and you can see we've got a little bit of a different effect. Again, use that picture so you know exactly how to position this. And then when putting the window frames inside, I just try and scrape away a bit of glue on the inside of the building piece. So you can see there, it doesn't go all the way through, but just enough. So when I get that frame, I can offer it up, push it in, and these are really tight fitting, but they fit really smoothly. There was one window from about 8 kits that didn't quite go in, and I had to file down, but otherwise, look at the precision on how that's cut and exactly how it fits into the model. I mean, I think that's really well done, and it makes building these models really fun. I'm adding a bit more glue onto the inner frame now and just dabbing it all over, and then I'm going to get that pane and push it in. You could switch up glues, I guess, at this stage, maybe go for super glue, but I thought I'd just try it on one of the other kits and see if it worked, and it did. Next day, it held up really well. You don't see any of that white mess that you can see on there at the moment, and so I thought I'll just stick with the same glue. If it works, why mix it up? And this is where you can see the importance of this gridded cutting board. I can use it to let the glue set, because we haven't got a base for this section, so we want to keep the shape when we put the first 4 pieces together, and having those grids really helps with it. And then this is a nice feature that they've gone for, where you can just glue in these little struts, and they're going to go around each edge on the inside of the model. And this is going to give us a little raised lip on each wall, ready for the next floor to go on. And that's going to hold it in place really snugly and tightly, so that when it's all stacked up, it will look like a single structure and it won't look like it comes apart. And again, just to allow it to set a little bit, I'll just line it up on those grids again, and then just give it 5-10 minutes in place for that Gorilla Glue to do the work, and then we're going to be good to move it to another section. And there you can see there's the base. That'll go on top of it, and it comes on and off, so you're not going to glue those together, and then you can use the ruin base separately if you want to. You're going to find some nice bits of trim to go around on the outside. It's going to add character to the building, and it tells you here exactly what piece to use. So some of them, sometimes, not very often actually, the ones I've built so far are different shapes and sizes. Some are similar. Here you've got a couple of options. You can choose either of the sign. I've already got a restaurant built, which is kind of like a cafe, so I'm going to go for the Maison du Petit Four, and then that's going to be really awesome and stand out with a different colour as well. That black sign I think will work nicely. And there's the finished piece. I'm really happy with this. I think it looks fantastic. I've added the blinds on, and it's just got loads of character. You can take the little roof parts off so you can get access to the roof. You can take both of these off if you want to, or just one. So for games like Rogue Warriors where you want to go indoors as well, Population Z, the zombie game, is going to be so fun with this. Even playing other games like Bolt Action, you're going to get loads of fun. You can put your miniatures in there. Perfect for snipers to hide out. I just think for narrative games where you want lots of immersion, this terrain is just perfect for it. And you don't have to paint it. You can just get playing straight away. As soon as that glue dries, you're good to go. I really love that sign that they've printed on the side there. That's really nice. And you can see just how snugly it all fits together and comes apart while still being really robust. So when you take all these pieces on and off, I don't think, especially with that Gorilla Glue, that anything's really going to snap off. This slides off really easily. There's one building that's a little bit tighter, but all of them come off nice and smooth like this. So you can just use that if you wanted to and have a section of these. I'll do that later on. I'll show you what it looks like as like ruined bases of buildings. Perhaps they've been bombed out, or you can just put them together and have the kind of walls inside smashed down a bit. Here's one of those doors that I talked about earlier where you can glue 2 together. What that does is it helps it just fit nice and snugly inside the doorway, and then you've got the print on both sides. If you're inside, you've even got a nice frame going around it. If you're outside, that fits perfectly, and you can open it so you can go in and out of the buildings. So that's the first one. Now let's have a look at some of the other buildings that I've built earlier, and I'll take them apart so you can have a good look inside and just see the variation of shapes and sizes and designs. Before we do that though, here's a few models just to give you an idea of the scale, and these are some of the Wargame Atlantic German sentries, a couple of vehicles from Bolt Action, and they just fit great. This is going to be awesome. I cannot wait to get some games in and just the different narratives and scenes we can create. It's going to be so fun. Alright, we're on to the garage, and here the roof comes off. Bit more detail on that one. This little roof comes off from the office section. You can see inside we've got the doors that can go on and off. So you don't glue the door shut unless you want to, and then that way it allows you to open and close them. Bit small for a tank, although it just about fits, but for these armoured cars, they fit in there really well, which I guess is the kind of thing that's going to be in a garage, more than a tank. This one's going to be nice, not just for a townhouse, but I think this would work really nicely as a farmhouse. This could be used on its own in a scenario, especially zombie scenarios, or maybe in Rogue Warriors, we're going in to take out the enemy, rescue some hostages. This is going to be great if we can use a building like this as the centerpiece. And with the attic the different floors. You've got loads of levels to search. The restaurant, great printing and artwork again on this. I love all the different shaped windows, just the attention to detail. You can take the roof on and off again if you want to. I love the floorboard texture that they've painted on. And inside, when you open it, you can see you've got all the different wallpaper, the different flooring. It just adds so much character to it. And on the bottom there, this one also comes off. So we've got another ruined base that we can use if we want to. And again, look how easy that comes on and off with all the different angles as well. Really well done, precision. I love it. We're getting a bit posh now with this townhouse. Maybe the mayor lives there or some kind of diplomat. But this would be another great house to search through. Good size. You've got the 3 levels, ground floor, first floor, and the roof as well. So again, for searching, it's going to be so fun. I think for zombies, this is going to be really interactive as well. So I'm looking forward to trying this out with Population Z. I mean, I've messed around with the ones I built earlier already with Rogue Warriors, and I just love it. The height and the different shapes and sizes of the building. It's so fun when it's on the table. And when you add some trees, like I'll be doing later on, to the setup, it just brings it to life. Here's a neat little terraced house. You could imagine having lots of these all put together and create a whole street. I left the roof there of this little outdoor shed off so that we can hide in. The doors open and close. Again, don't glue those in place unless you want to. But isn't that cool? I think just on its own it looks nice, especially with that little piece that they've put with it, like an end terrace. But yeah, I think a few more townhouses would just look fantastic all in a row. This is the smaller of the houses, but there's still enough room inside, so you're going to get some models in there. You could definitely get a team in there if you wanted to. Perfect for snipers to hide out. You've got the doors front and back. You can see there again, it's glued together, so both sides are printed, and even that ruined base as well. Here we've got another small kit, and I like this. You've got a couple of outbuildings that you could use. I think would be nice for some kind of farm. If you were having that house that we saw earlier as a country house, then that would be really nice. Just to have a couple of outbuildings with some trees mingled in. And then we've got the 2 little workshops as well, which we could use. So that one there, that would work nicely with those outbuildings. It all looks very similar and ties together. Get a couple of petrol pumps with the garage we saw earlier as well, if you want to use those. But that's it. That's all the ones I've built so far. We've got more to look at later on, probably next week for sci-fi. But as far as World War II, even the modern era, for zombie game like Population Z, Rogue Warriors, throughout all different eras of modern warfare, I think this terrain is going to be perfect. Not just for World War II, I think it's going to be great for modern day as well. And we're going to have so much fun creating missions around it. I think it's really good to be inspired by cool terrain like this when you're thinking about different missions. The restaurant, perhaps there's some kind of spy you've got to meet up with and you get caught out. Who knows? There's areas to hide tanks. We've got all sorts going on. And the different layouts with this terrain is just going to be limitless. You can do so much with it. And I love all the little areas you can create where you can sneak up on the enemy. You can make 2 rows, almost like a western looking town in the layout. And then you could use different mats, follow the road on the map or create your own. Adding lots of trees and things is going to be really helpful, as you'll see here in a moment. That's it without the trees. Still looks great. You can make little sections, a garage, maybe put the houses together in a little row like this. But then when you do add the trees, I think it really does come to life a lot more. And you can just imagine the hustle and bustle going on in this little town square. And when you get the miniatures and the vehicles involved too, just going to be awesome fun. Here you can see I've taken all the bases out of the models and put them together as if this was one large building or row or street of houses that have been bombed. And this is going to be really cool to set up as a little area maybe to navigate through. You could even put it all together closer so that it looks like a single building, or leave the little gaps like I've done here, so it could be, those could be corridors in an old building, and then you could just work your way in. So lots of different things I think you can come up with here, but definitely perfect for sneaking up on the enemy. You've got lots of cover there. If you're playing the ungentlemanly rules solo rules for Rogue Warriors, then this is going to be just perfect for that. And you could set up all your different sentries and everything and get all the pathways going between the buildings. That's going to be great fun. I hope you find this video helpful, and I hope this has given you a good idea about what to expect from this fantastic set of scenery from Micro Art Studios, and a huge thanks to them. But we're not done yet. There's going to be one more video coming up probably next week. And I'll be building this futuristic set, so we've got lots to look at and put together. This is going to be great if you're into Kill Team, any futuristic game. Brilliant for Evolution if you're playing that expansion of Rogue Warriors. And I think you'd even be able to use it in the usual modern warfare style of things. It could be some tech building, maybe an old factory or industrial zone. You're just going to have lots of options here. So this is more for your futuristic games, but it's certainly going to work alongside any modern warfare game, as well as games like Warhammer 2. Although this video wasn't sponsored, they did send all these terrain sets out for free for me to share with you here on the channel. First of all, they asked if I'd have a look at their futuristic sets, and I said, yeah, I'd love to, but I told them I thought you would really like to see the modern warfare terrain as well. I'll put all their links in the description and comments down below. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching. If you did like it, it'd be great if you hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this one, and I look forward to seeing you here next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games.